Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good day to you all, and welcome to this glorious Monday and to our program, Pertinent Question, on Western Spring Television. I am Adeto Shitualamo, your anchor, welcoming you to our usual Monday one-on-one question and answer interview session. My guest is a man of many parts. Indeed, there is so much to say about him. So much to say about him because in the last 35 years or so that he has been in the subconsciousness of the people, he has been a performer. He qualified as a lawyer some 40 years ago and became almost immediately after a politician. A little short while later, he won election to represent Ife South State constituency in the first ever Osun State House of Assembly in 1992, and he was elected also as the Deputy Speaker. From the year 1999 to 2003, he served as Commissioner of State in the Chief BC Akande administration. He was appointed to be in charge of Health, the Minister of Health, and later held the Works and Transport portfolio. During the Olagunsoye Onyolola administration, he was appointed commissioner again, this time as Attorney General of the state. Within that period, he also served as member, Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee at the national level. My guest is a member Afenifere socio-political group, and so was in Nadeko, which he became, or when rather he became a prisoner of war in detention. In the last 20 years, he has been on the executive committee of Old Boys Association of his alma mater. We will get there. Currently, he is the chairman, governing board, Union Teaching Hospital, Osogbo. In social and political circles, he goes by the appellation, say something. Now the cat is out of the bag. He turned 70 2 days ago. What a resume, so rich a resume for a 70-year-old bobo. Right Honorable Adeniyi Adenrele Owolade, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, the Alamuman. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so
and
much.
honestly, one of the rare gems we have in Osun.
Yes.
Which we're always proud of.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Many don't know you are Adeniyi Adenrele. It has always been Niyi Owolade. Why did you jettison? Not necessarily jettison, but why did you choose to become just Niyi?
I love my names. Adeniyi. My mom, when she was alive, would call me Deniyi. Adeniyi. And then, of course, Adenrele. But then, you know, like so many people were shorting names that will rhyme. Look at Wole Soyinka. Yeah. It was Oluwole Soyinka. Of course, we share the same alma mater. But there are a number of people who have been able to coin their names so that they want to, the first name and the surname, to make it distinctive. Exactly. Okay.
Let's go into the nitty-gritty. There's so much to discuss, but knowing you, I want to appeal from ab initio that you make it short and short, because I know you can expand it to the you're a senior lawyer at the Nigerian Bar Association and at the Nigerian Bar. There are two concepts in town. We are not learned, you the learned ones. The law is on us. It's a concept in the Nigerian, perhaps the world. And then the second one, the law is what the judge says it is. I want you to look at these two concepts.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'd like to tell you that I'm proud to belong to that profession. It's a noble profession. It's a special profession.
And a learned one.
And that's the last one I'm coming to. My friend here is educated, but he's not learning, even though we know he has. But seriously speaking, the profession over the years, come through phases, just like any other profession. The leadership, just like any other calling on this planet, will always play a role. The leadership is always very important. If you look at the landed profession, let's start from pre-colonial, when Shapara Williams and Oshu Indigene, the first lawyer in the history of this country, and then coming all the way to independence, you realize that 3/4 of the lawyers have been those from the southwestern part of Nigeria. Highly talented people, highly dedicated and focused. And you can imagine from Shapara Williams to Mohammed Bello, 1955, the first man from the north to be called to the bar. Just trying to trace that the session. But over the years, I still recall, and this is why some of us will say that the military did a lot of havoc to this country. Because until the military took over, the legal profession, which of course moves also to the bench, it's always been traditional. We practice common law. The concepts of law here, we took from the British, our colonial masters. And even though we know that nothing can be constant, you still have to go through the changes. For example, they don't have a Supreme Court in England, which wasn't so. It was Judicial Committee of the House of Lords. The House of Lords was the final court. But now have what they call the Supreme Court too. And in England too, they have the Lord Chief Justice there and the criminal division. That's where I sit. Whereas in civil division, you have what you call the Master of the Rolls. That's theirs. But here, we try to, yes, the transport stores, we were practicing the Westminster model. That's for the type of executive we had then. Before Muritala Muhammad came to the scene and said, no, we should make it presidential. And then we made it presidential. But over the years, what we've had is that you'll always know from the system those who should be in charge. It's always move on. But suddenly the whole thing changed. I don't want to mention some names. You have some people now taking over. You have somebody who did Quranic law, taking over as a CJN. I'm not trying to dispute, to belittle him. But the point I'm trying to make is that this profession had a tradition, which unfortunately had been jettisoned a bit over the years. So that kind of had some influence. And instead of us being progressively progressive, I'm sorry.
Knowing you, the point I wanted you to address, the law is an ass. How would you want to clarify it? Why is it so? At least towards the educated and not learned. We think the law is an ass. And we also think that the law is what the judge says it is.
Now, let's go back to what is law itself. First of all, Parliament. Whatever is your Parliament to make the laws. But of course, they can't make every law. You have the bench, that is the judiciary, who will interpret those laws. Now, in interpreting the laws, you now look at the precept. What are the principles? What are the laws already in place? So by looking at the laws already in place, you now interpret it based on that. But where you don't have no laws in place, then they will make their own law. They'll fill the vacuum. Parliament, if Parliament is unhappy, Parliament can now make a pronouncement to change that law that they have pronounced. The judiciary, that's the organ, is the third organ of government. They're in charge of interpreting the laws. Of course, the legislature, they make laws. The executive rule implement and carry out the laws, and then you have the judiciary who will interpret whatever the law is. So where you have some laws which is archaic, or there are sets of laws for a different era, the judiciary must still interpret those laws. And interpreting the laws, they may not be in consonance with the present day situation. So obviously, the society will not be happy, but we must not forget that the law is for man. Now, it is for Parliament. Whatever Parliament, call it House of Assembly for the state, call it the National Assembly, House of Reps and Senate for the federal, they have to make laws, and they have to be versatile, and they have to interpret. They have to. You shouldn't be idle. You should keep on with the laws. So there are some laws which may not be for the moment and time. There are some laws, for example, I'll tell you one thing, which many people are not aware of. That's what we call the general rule. And situation, you may have exceptions to those general rules, which are part of the laws that may have been made. So why do you have this? Why do you have? But if you look at it, if you say that it's commonsensical, because all the laws cannot be from just one base, so to speak. So it depends. But by and large, our laws will need changes in some places. And that's why I will ask our Parliament, which in this case, National Assembly, to be proactive. I'm sorry, they're not proactive enough. They're slow. They take their time. They should, just like that, come into the picture. That's the whole idea of what Parliament is all about.
Well, you were once Attorney General of Osho State.
Yep.
What would you say is the biggest challenge of our nation's jurisprudence?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, one of my greatest challenges here, before I talk of the nation, it may interest you that the issue of the overship, 1/3 of the problems I had in solving our problem, the traditional institution of overship. Because there's a process, like you'll think that people don't compete for something, compete rigorously. And what people don't know is that there's a declaration for each domain, distinct. It may be different. Some places 3, 4 ruling houses, some places 7 ruling houses. When an order passes on, it goes to the chairman of the council, who must report it to government. The government has a Ministry of Local Government that will look at it, and then, of course, seek support of the Ministry of Justice. What is the declaration for that domain? I had some challenges with that Council of Obas. But when you talk of the Federation, the Nigerian, part of the problem we have is that as a reputable, noble profession, transporting, things have changed. Part of my challenge has been with the leadership, which I touched on early. I didn't go into details because there's a lot involved. Some people are not supposed to be at the head. I'm sorry to say this. I don't like saying ill of my profession, but we have had some Chief Justice of Nigeria who have no business being there. And as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, you are the head. You are the titular head. Decisions come from you. There's a National Judicial Council, which of course will deal with the discipline of the judicial officers. You have the interaction between that third arm and the second arm. The third arm, which is the judiciary, and the second arm, which is that executive. I'm sorry, a situation where, and that's why I know that right now, there's a lot of issues on the ground that the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria should not be the body that should pick whoever is the CJN. Because you now have a situation on the ground where...
Are you likely to get there? The noble cause, but are you, given the nature of our politics,
yes,
are you likely to get there, this hope of the president not appointing?
No, people have come up with various ideas.
Yes, I'm saying, do you think we can get there, given our scenario as a nation, political?
Well, I'm an optimist, and I hope there will come a time in Nigeria where the people will know that power even belongs to them. We have to vote for the right person to be in our titular head, because the people who have the power, if you vote the right person as the president, commander-in-chief, it must be somebody well above board, who has all it takes. Look at what we used to say of Obafemi Awolowo, the greatest, who we said never should have been the best, who should have been in that position. Such a person will not put anybody as CJN. I mean, people have suggested that there should be a body of former Chief Justice of Nigeria who will come together and pick who should. Once we get it right, if you have that noble head who is there, who is above board, not only knowing the law, but he must be also administratively sound, and who knows his onions, then all the issues we had. Look, let me tell you, there was a day that I had the opportunity of addressing when Honorable Justice Akas, a justice of the Supreme Court, was retiring in 2019, December, and I was on the high table. I had the golden opportunity of seeing all the justices of the Supreme Court sitting down, apart from the then CJN and Honorable Justice Bode Rhodes-Vival. Only two were not present there on that day. And I told them that if this country were to survive, a lot will depend on what you justices, what you do. You are the last hope of the common man. Please show it. When you are in that position, something should be to God Almighty. The law. Follow the law. But unfortunately, we've had situations where I should even close my eyes. Some of the things that happen there.
Time is not on our side. But I'm happy that I rejoice with you that you had the privilege of
addressing them all. Golden opportunity.
Yeah, very golden. Now, let's come back to that. At a point in time, too, you were a member of the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee at the national level when you were Attorney General.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit of your experiences?
Yeah. It was a golden opportunity for me. One of the rare positions I've been proud of. The body of benchers, which is the highest organ we have of all the eminent jurists and the bar and bench coming together, decided that Attorney General had never been involved in the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee, and decided now they should bring them in to be part of the panel. And so, two of us, one from the entire South, which to be me, and to God be the glory, and one from the North, the Attorney General of Plateau State, represented the northern part of Nigeria. And while we were there, we saw certain things which was unbecoming of a legal practitioner. The legal profession is conservative.
Yeah, very, very.
And it's traditional. It's we have our traditions. There are certain things you don't expect a legal practitioner to do. But it appears that from one part of Nigeria, mostly from one part of Nigeria, I wouldn't want to mention that part of Nigeria, the way they look at things, it's all about money. A situation where a legal practitioner will get the money from the client and that will be the end of the story, and will not perform that duty. We had so many unbecoming of a member of the bar. So I was part of a team that to a large extent sanitized, had the opportunity to sanitize our profession, which we are very, very proud of. So it was something for me that I took very seriously, and we did a bit to sanitize that.
When an interviewer talks to somebody like you, is an interviewer's delight, he must be mindful of time. So I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay.
Any constitutional amendments you can think of immediately, as in that Nigerians should be thinking of, very briefly?
It's wholesome.
Right.
if this country must move forward positively, it's a country that is blessed abundantly in human and natural resources. We must have a full restructuring. It's not, we've been having little bit, tinkling. We must have a constitution written by the people. That is, you have representatives of the people coming together. The time that took place in 2014, which unfortunately, we did that, and which...
Can't we go back to
those? We can. And I will use that opportunity to call on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to look at that again. Because you had a wholesome representatives of all the ethnic nationalities. They were all involved, 2014, including those from the far north. You know, and if we had that opportunity, then why didn't we just dust it? So that we can have a new constitution. Nigeria can now say, we the people should write their constitution, not some military guys who wrote the last constitution.
Or brought some men to write.
Yeah. No, Yadudu, Professor Yadudu was the one who, the military said, don't go and write something up. So I believe that we need a wholesome. Let's get it right. Restructure, full restructuring.
We are due for a break, but before we go on break, I will ask you this question. The appointment of the Supreme Court now has its full complement of judges.
We call it justices.
Justices.
The Supreme Court.
Thank you.
Supreme Court.
Thank you. I'm not learned. Yes, the justices. What we ordinary people know is that they are appointed zonally. How come that in recent years, Lagos State alone tends to have two, a minimum of two?
It is a sad story. And part of the sad story that I must say that I am not proud of my profession and how far we've gone. I have been involved in this thing you just said. When I was Attorney General, Osun was due to go to the Supreme Court. Honorable Justice Bada is now still in the Court of Appeal, is the head of there. He was the one scheduled to go to. We had a method of selection. But Nigeria is an interesting place. You do this and that person will come and say, let's change it. We keep changing things. There's a tradition. That is unbecoming of the profession. Let me tell you what we used to do. Lagos and Ogun pair together. Oyo and Osun pair together. Ondo and Ekiti pair together. That was the tradition. One Honorable Justice P.O. Aderemi of Oyo left. It was our turn. And I don't want to be mentioning names. But
that was when Justice Bada
should have gone. Court of Appeal. We made efforts. And I was in Abuja 3 times. And suddenly, unfortunately, some other issues came in. Then they said they were going to score some people. But we had a tradition. We had a custom, which paid well. That custom, it was a pairing custom. Lagos and Ogun.
6 states within a zone.
Within a zone. And they were all there. But things have changed in this country. Things have changed so much that it's not something that I'm proud of. And I don't want to say too much on that. But
what can we do to correct the situation?
You people, members of the press, you have, please, in fact, changing this country, the press has a lot to do. Because if you say that you are doing something, why do you change? If you say that you are doing something, so when it pleases you, you now change the method. Lagos, should I say for obvious reasons, which we disagree with, I don't subscribe to that. The fact that you're in Lagos, so you should be in charge, or you should be over those others. No, it's wrong.
Before we go on break, the courts were closed in Osun until last week, for about 3 months. If you were Attorney General of the state, as you were some years back, how would you have addressed the matter or advised the governor differently?
The alarm woman is putting some questions to me that honestly, Firstly, I wasn't around when the problem, it was a Juson strike, you know, and the strike went on. And from what I heard, there was a dispute, you know, within the judiciary arm of the state. So Juson went on and on and on. And contrary to what some people have been thinking, it's not really the state government. It was a judiciary affair, in the sense that judicial workers were on strike. They had, from what I heard, because I was out of the country for 4 months, but from what I heard, they had some dispute against the president of the office of the chief judge of the state. And they also had some problem about some allowances which they wanted the state to pay, which had been paid. I think in that sense, there's nothing much, because we have a Judicial Service Commission. And I had assumed that within that body, they should have looked for a way to bring those, to address the issues raised by Juson. So it's not really a state government affair. It's a problem of the judiciary arm of the state. So there's nothing much that the state, the executive, could have done in the circumstance, because if you have a union within your arm of government in dispute, what is the headship of that arm doing? For example, if it's the legislature, if you have a problem in the House of Assembly, you now say, what are you doing to resolve that? So on this, even though without knowing everything, I think it should be in the purview of the headship of the judiciary to bring everybody together, the union that had that dispute, to be able to resolve. Because I have always believed that the only way you can get out of it is dialogue. There is no small person when it comes to dialogue, because the dispute, the person, more people, knowledge comes from. So you come to the table, it's not 100% win for anybody. You have your own idea, then you now
win some,
you lose some. It's unfortunate it took such a long time.
Well, thank God it's all over now.
Yes, we thank God.
We're due for a break, and to the viewer at home, I have been in a very conversational chat with a man who is always an interviewer's delight. We will come back. I'm talking of Right Honorable Adeniyi.
Yeah.
We will be back in a jiffy, and we will resume, because our topic is governance, the law and governance. Nigeria, governance and the law. We'll be back. You're welcome back to the second part of our interview, our discussion. And this time we're moving into politics and some other things. The political parties, Barrister Olade, all the parties, and I'm good, you're a politician, you appear not to be in the right mood. There are internal quarrels. It has engulfed almost all the major political parties. Is it because you are politicians and you are always insatiable, or what? The AD is in crisis. They won't admit. The PDP is in crisis. The Labour is in crisis. Concourse's party is in crisis. Where next do we go?
It's very unfortunate. But the major problem is that we don't like playing by the rules. It has become a problem with the average Nigerian psychic, whereby you feel that there's always a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
We don't believe that some laws cannot be broken. In fact, when you have new laws, people will already be looking for ways to break. There should be sanctions when you err. But Nigerians don't, and that's where leadership comes in. You see, I keep going to this issue of leadership. You see, we have been very unlucky with the title, with the type of people who have led in some groups, call it even parties, state parties, national parties. We talked about the leadership of the judiciary when I spoke earlier. It's unfortunate. We don't like playing by the rules. Do you know that it's difficult for the average Nigerian to even obey a simple traffic light?
Yeah.
It's sad. It's not something I'm proud of. Maybe because I had the opportunity of studying elsewhere, where you don't have to be told.
But you had your secondary school here.
No, the good old days. No. I mean, honestly, if you want us to go back to the good old days, things have changed in Nigeria.
Yeah, yes.
And I don't know. Of course, I know it's part of leadership. When I was in school, I would say that at that time, 80% of the average Nigerian will follow the rules. But now it's less than 25%. People don't believe in any rules. So things have changed.
Rather badly.
Badly. And I just hope and pray that we put the right people there. People who will want to, yes, this, if you make a law, let's take away the law, ordinary rules, that, okay, for a period of time, for a community.
Small.
If something happens, if somebody dies, this person will take over. You already know. But somebody far behind, who is not even, will now come, I have money, I'm going to throw it.
Yeah.
And then there is so much power, unfortunately, believe in money and things like that.
You spoke about money, and it takes me to my next question.
Yep.
The Senate has been in control for just about 9 months. Yet you see all that, the rot, the suspension, the claims and counterclaims. Does it augur well for the Nigerian Senate?
Of course
as
not.
Lawmakers?
Of course not. Of course not. Of course, there's the issue of the caliber of people you have there. With due respect to there are some good people there. But it's unfortunate. Well, they said there's always this saying that the bodies we have in Nigeria is a reflection of the society.
Yeah.
So you know, we have issues in this country. Put the right people, put round peg in a round hole. It's because of money. We have a craziness for money in Nigeria today.
Yes, we worship it.
We worship it. And that's part of the problem. Incidentally, I know Ningi, the man at the center of it. I know him personally. And he's a man who is as straightforward as they come. He will tell you his mind, he can't be bothered about anything. And there's more to it that catches the eye. I won't say more than that.
Okay, President Tinubu is in his 10th month in office. Without being biased, without being partisan, how far so far in your assessment?
That question, I have to be careful because it's difficult to assess him in 12 months. I've not been impressed.
Okay. What has he done wrong? What has he done right?
I expected him for someone who believed then in the concept of restructuring. I'm going to say one thing here, please, which is very important. If Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not holistically restructure this country, I don't know what he's there for. The whole thing is, if let him put that as the central from now on.
Maybe he has 4 years and he has about 2 months more to finish the first year. Maybe it's the next.
Never postpone what you can do today till tomorrow. I think that's the saying you to believe.
Okay, yeah.
He doesn't have to wait till the end, end.
Yeah, which makes it a little bit difficult to implement.
That was what happened to
Jonathan.
That Dr. Femi Okoromu's committee should have been set up earlier. So I hope President Tinubu will not be thinking, let me wait till the end. We have to restructure this country. Without restructuring, we're just going to be, look at the security issue. There's so many things.
Yeah. Talk about security. The Ukwama Okolobe crisis, where 4 officers and 12. Are we not going to see, the way it is going, we're not going to see the reenactment of what happened in Odi?
Yeah. We're close to that.
Bayelsa State during...
yes, we are very close to that. Because you must have heard that the military went into the village and started burning some houses, and it's sad. Reprisal. And 2 wrongs can never make it right. As ugly, as terrible, as awful as what those people did, but that is the country we live in. The sense of security. If you can murder officers, Nigerian military. So how about the ordinary people like me and you? I don't know. We're in trouble.
In your days as Attorney General, the crisis was then between Oyo and Osun on Lautek.
Yes.
Being a journalist then fully in practice, I knew, or I still know, the position your administration took.
Yes.
Today, another government came behind you and is in, should I turn so Israel?
Yeah.
Isn't it a little bit, whatever, that today you are chairman of Uni Osun?
Yes. Yes.
That your administration seriously, for the good of the state, were against the breakup?
Yes, if you're going to have a divorce, you must have terms of divorce. A man and a woman will divorce, they have why they are divorcing and what are the terms. When I was the Attorney General, I was also the chairman of that committee that was set up to liaise with Oyo government. We said we were not going to divorce easily the way it is now. And in fact, the first thing, if you're going to divorce, what do we have? It is so sad that the way the Oyetola government, did that divorce without being, and I'm not reading politics into this. It's not an issue of politics. After all, the governor of Oyo now is a PDP man. Yeah. They agreed on some 8 billion. The man paid 3-4 billion. We see he still owes us. Whereas when we were there, even if there were going to be any divorce, we will get at least 30 billion. We said, let's get all the assets together. Not only will we get 30 billion, for the next 10 years, students from Osun, there should be a transition period. I don't know what, I've not seen the agreement, but I don't know what that transition period is like. How about our workers, Osun indigenes who are there? I've always known Oyo to be a bit, when it comes to things like this.
To be Oyo.
Yeah, because if you recall, I was in the House of Assembly when the issue of our assets sharing came up. They were not going to give us our assets, Osun's part of the assets. We had to go to Abuja. Yeah. We had to fight for it. A committee had to be set up where the little we were still able to collect. So I think that we did not manage the divorce that separation properly. That's the way I look at it, because you don't settle and just close your eyes and say, okay, the man paid us, look, how much? I hope we still get more money, because I don't know where we're going to get our money. So that we have so many things in the teaching hospital or repair, for example, in the state government, our university, so many things the money will be useful for. But or you're staying on that. Or you're staying on that.
Now you are chairman of the same board.
Yes.
In terms of health care for the ordinary man on the street, what pledge or what assurance, I should put it that way, do you think Universal Teaching Hospital, how far will it take us in terms of healthcare delivery?
Healthcare delivery, yeah. First and foremost, I think I have to pay kudos to the present governor. Governor, that's the senator, His Excellency Senator Ademola Adeleke. Look at what he did recently for our aged people, for our retirees in OIS. You know, the OIS people, now we are putting up because there's poverty in the land. And health care is crucial to any society. It's the saying that health is wealth. We have a long way to go, though, because the teaching hospital is a tertiary health facility. We should be the ones. We need a lot. We still need from the state government, even from the competing forces for the governor, as the healthcare delivery, because of what brought us to this stage, you know, and then the poverty level, and knowing fully well that there's so many key equipment we don't have, which we have to get from the government. And I hope the government will come to our aid.
Yes. Well, it is not in your purview. Seriously, you have to appeal to government.
It's appeal. No, it's appeal.
It's appeal. Okay. There are two things that are passionate in you since I have known you. The first House of Assembly, you served as Deputy Speaker. Yeah. And before then, GCIO. I want you to marry in 2-3 minutes. Speak to these issues before we come to your birthday.
Yeah. Government College Ibadan, my pride of place. That's, of all the schools I've attended in my life, primary, secondary, university. That's secondary school, 7 years. School start and A levels. From 1967 to 1973. The best time of my life. That's when the foundation, that's when the molding, you know, that's
why you have spent 20 years being on the executive. Seven days. I see. Okay.
I told them I'm going to retire now. Okay. I have to retire because it's no longer time.
Let's go to the first ever Osun House of. You had the privilege of being the Deputy Speaker. Great
institution. You know, after the military had been there, Osun had just been created. 46-member house, 42. Unfortunately, 22 of us have passed on. Only 24 are alive today. We were committed. We were resolute. We were dedicated. We were not even thinking of the money. We went to Abuja to ask for assets of Osun without even knowing where we're going to stay. We just, all 46, went on some buses and got to Abuja. Do you know that Osun, House of Assembly, when the doctors went to strike, it was the House. The executive couldn't solve it. When the teachers went to strike, it was the House that resolved it. And, you know, the dedicated guys in that House of Assembly. When Chief M.K. Abiola, the man who won the first and fairest election in Nigeria's history, Osun House of Assembly was the first house that went to Lagos to pay me a visit. That from now on, you are now our president-elect. It was after us that Lagos and Oyo followed suit. So we were the pace setter. We were showing the pace because we had dedicated guys who were committed to the ideals of democracy.
My producer is telling me time is up. But then they call you say something. What led to it? And you are now 70. How does it feel? Say something is now 70 years old. Very briefly.
Yes, say something is now 70 years old. But say something will be saying less now. Because I'm now an elder statesman. Even though they refer to me as Bobo, not as Papa.
No, I mean, I was watching you. I said it's a matter of time. Nobody will call you Bobo again.
Well, it's a beautiful feeling to get to the 7th floor. And being the 7th floor now, I pray for more wisdom. I shouldn't be as radical. There was a time I was detained by Sani Abacha twice. I served and I've paid my dues, but now I think I have to take it a bit easy, and let the younger ones. I'll try and mentor to know what is society about, what is governance all about. We'll try and tell our people it's service. Service should be the first thing, and also our people should know power belongs to them. It doesn't seem that our people know that. When it's time for election, go and vote for the right person. Forget about the money. Vote for who you think will deliver.
A barrister at law, the Right Honorable, former Deputy Speaker, first ever House of Assembly, a man of many parts. I'd like to thank you very much, and I appreciate you for finding time out of this crowded schedule. You came out of Dr. Oluwabi's 80th birthday. Somebody you are 3 days older than.
Yes, he said so. No, it's nice to be here. And honestly, the Alamu man cannot call me for anything. I'll not be there.
Thank you.
Because you are part of the great assets we still have here. And I'm happy that the management of this place sees it fit that talent. We shouldn't let that talent waste away.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you mentor others,
yes.
Younger ones, so we can get to that great heights.
Yeah, we will by the grace of God.
Amen.
To the viewer at home, I have been speaking with Barrister Adenrele Wolade. It's been a very warm chatting, discussion, frank talk, and he's a man who wouldn't want to say certain things. He had to keep some in his belly. I thank you for coming. To the viewer at home, we'll see you next week. The program will be back. Thank you for being there. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.